What's up, contestants? Season 5 is live. It's the finals, baby. Greatest game show on earth. In this video, we're going to be going over the patch notes for Season 5. Now, I'm not just going to read them off to you. I'm actually going to do a yap fest and tell you what I think about some of the major changes. And we've got some big meta shifting things here, folks. And after going through all the patch notes, we're going to head over into the private match and we're going to do some testing with the Lockbolts. And let me tell you, we've got some pretty crazy things to show you with how the Lockbolt works. Now, without further ado, let's check out the patch notes. Season 5, next stage starts now. The spotlight is on and Season 5 of the finals begins right now. This isn't just another season, it's a celebration of an unforgettable year since the finals has launched, folks. Over 4 thrilling seasons, we've defined competition in the ultimate game show. Now it's time for the next stage. Season 4 honored our amazing community by bringing back the thrill of ranked tournaments, unveiling the vibrant Fortune Stadium, and amplifying everything that makes the finals extraordinary. But this new season isn't just about looking back. It's about blazing forward with exciting surprises, groundbreaking features, and a breathtaking new arena. All right, so let's just get right into it. Of course, we've got the Season 5 trailer here, which I'm sure all of you seen. We've got a new map in the name of Bernal. So this map is pretty dope, but let's see what they have to say here. As you explore what this season has to offer, your first stop has got to be Bernal, the sprawling new map, set beneath the imposing Panay de Bernal, one of the largest monoliths in the world. This vibrant town captures the magic and historic charm of Mexico while unleashing the high-octane action of the finals. Now, my first take on this map is, it's awesome. I really like the layout. I like how the fights can be varied. You've got like good indoor fights. You've got good lanes on the outside. One thing that I thought was interesting about this map is they engineered all of the building structures in such a way that you can't window jump. So in all of the windowsills, you're not able to kind of do that thing where you can jump off the windowsill, look up, and grapple or clamber onto the next window above you or a floor above you. So that's kind of interesting. Other than that, though, the map plays extremely well. It's very interesting to look at. It's got good movement, zip line. I mean, this is good. It's fun. Bernal, this is a win. This is definitely better than Kyoto. I also think this is better than Fortune Stadium, and maybe, just maybe, I even like it more than Cis Horizon. So yeah, Bernal, great map. Now let's talk about the new weapons that we got. We've got 2 new weapons this season, one for the heavy, one for the medium. First up in our discussion here is the Shock 50. Now, they say this is a heavy-hitting assault rifle that is a force to be reckoned with. Tailored for the heavy class, it fires 2 bullets per shot. Whether you're holding down a defensive position or charging headfirst into the fray, this weapon packs a punch that demands respect. And I will say that is absolutely right. I have been shredding with the Shock 50. Now, I'll tell you this. Now, this is just my 2 cents, ladies and gents, but get that scope right away. So it comes with a red dot, the holographic red dot sight. You can upgrade this. I would say the iron sights for the Shock 50 is terrible. You get a lot more visual recoil. It just it clutters up the reticle or the aiming area. So definitely get off of the stock iron sights, upgrade the sights to the Shock 50 as soon as you can, and you will shred with this weapon. Now, it's definitely medium to short range in terms of its like maximum efficiency. Longer ranges, it's not really all that great. But yo, Shock 50 is probably my new favorite weapon. I think 2 of the best right now is going to be the Shock 50, and it's going to be the SA-1216, of course, the old rusty dusty classic. Now we've got the Cerberus 12-gauge shotgun, and what they have to say here is for the medium class, the Cerberus is a triple barrel break action shotgun that brings the heat, literally. Equipped with incendiary shells, this weapon doesn't just devastate opponents, it also ignites the environment, creating chaos in its wake. Use it to eliminate your enemies or simply watch the arena burn as you claim victory. I call cap. This weapon sucks. I mean, okay, sucks might be strong, but it's not great. In every way possible, the Model 1887 outshines the Cerberus. It can kill quicker, it's got a longer range, it's got a much tighter, the Cerberus has a lot wider of a spread with its pellets, and it just simply does not hit as hard, especially for the cost of only having 3 bullets in the chamber. It reminds me of something like the double barrel for the light, where you know, it's a given, it's a trade, right? So when you're using the 12 gauge, it's like you have to hit your shots. You only get 2 of them before you have to start the reload animation. But man, those shots hit real hard. Cerberus, not the case. Doesn't hit as hard as the model, and honestly, the elemental damage with the fire is lackluster. It doesn't really light the map on fire. It kind of lights some bushes on fire, and I think it's 3 shots to extinguish gas, and I wasn't lighting goo on fire at all. You tell me if you've lit some goo on fire with this thing, but I'm not really lighting goo on fire, which is preposterous to me. So this thing, I don't know why you'd pick it. It should be really fun, and it's just kind of not fun. So yeah, there's the Cerberus. Go ahead and give it a try for yourself and tell me what you think. But yeah, there's that. So now we've got 2 gadgets introduced in Season 5. We've got the Gravity Vortex. Designed for the light class, this deployable gadget with a remote trigger unleashes the power of a localized singularity. When activated, the Gravity Vortex pulls everything in from its vicinity toward its core. Objectives, players, and debris. Use it to disrupt enemy plans, create chaos, or take control of contested areas with a single well-balanced trap. So this is actually pretty cool. I think it could make its way to being a top-picked utility for the light. It functions a lot like the anti-grav cube that the Heavy has in terms of its mechanic, but instead of raising everything up, it sucks everything to the center in a spherical shape that, you know, is created wherever this thing is detonated. It is a remote detonation, so you can set it somewhere next to the cash out, let's say for instance, and use it as a cash out steal interruption. That's probably the strongest use case for it right now, but I know y'all are creative and you're probably going to come up with something super dope or different really cool and interesting ways to use this. But I think the Gravity Vortex is pretty cool. I think it's useful, and if you're not using it as your main, you should likely have it in your reserve. Now, the Lockbolt Launcher, built for the Heavy class. The Lockbolt Launcher fires an anchor that latches onto the environment and ensnares up to 3 targets at once. Affected players' mobility is severely limited, giving you a chance to capitalize on their vulnerability. Whether you're locking down key locations or setting up for the perfect takedown, this gadget turns control into your strongest weapon. Now, I will say the Lockbolt Launcher is pretty good. Is it the absolute best, like no-brainer pick out of the gate? Maybe, maybe not, but you definitely should have it in your reserve if you're not using it as one of your main utilities, because I will say this is just right out of the box, it's pretty strong. So you basically shoot a lock bolt or a mortar shell down onto a surface, and then any character, or like the cash box or another player that's within the vicinity of its AoE of wherever you shoot that mortar shell at, will basically put a leash or a tether to that object. And then you can do some kind of crazy things with that we're going to test here toward the end of the video, so please stay tuned to see some of the shenanigans we do with the Lockbolt Launcher in the private match. But this thing, you can pull out some really cool plays with it. I think it's rad. I do think that they should probably shorten the leash, because once you do get locked up with the Lockbolt, you can actually move quite a bit, like more than I thought you may be able to. So maybe shorten that leash a little bit, but other than that, Lockbolt Launcher, I think, is a W. Now, moving on, we got some new sights and reduced visual recoil. This is huge. With the release of Season 5, more of these items will be able to equip alternative sights. Additionally, we significantly reduced the amount of visual recoil experienced when aiming down sights, causing the bullets to land closer to where your reticle indicates. That's huge. I don't know why they had that early, in earlier iterations of the game. It's like, just put my bullet where my reticle is. Like, I don't know. It should be a lot more simple than that. So, hilariously, the M26 Matter, the Cerberus 12 gauge, and the Model 1887, which are all shotguns, they now have a sight. So that is clowning. You can put a sight on a shotgun. All right. The Shock 50, of course, like I mentioned earlier, has an upgradable holographic red dot, and I say immediately get the red dot sight for that thing. 93R, the newly buffed pistol for the light, that gets a new holographic red dot sight as well. Louis gun now gets a sight this season, and then the LH1 gets the holographic red dot. And I will say this, upgrade the LH1 to that red dot sight. That thing rips and tears. I love it. Now, moving on to the sponsors. Of course, we've got the sponsors that was introduced to us in the last season. Much of the same, but a little bit better now. It's the same concept. You earn fans to unlock cosmetics with whichever sponsor you choose. Azul Tea makes a return this season, and they're doing something like where you can become like a veteran for that sponsor. So if you had Azul Tea in the last season and then you pick them now, you can actually finish up the cosmetics that you didn't get. Let's say in last season, you didn't get enough fans to get and complete all of the cosmetics you could get with Azul. Well, this season, you can go ahead and finish that up if you want, and then continue down a new track to unlock new cosmetics and become a certified ambassador to represent Azul Tea. Moving on, we've got Vaya. So this is another sponsor you can pick. Of course, it's up to you. They've got this like mostly white aesthetic in the drip that they have to offer. So that's pretty cool. If that's your jam, then you pick Vaya. And last but not least, we have DeSun. Now, this one's pretty dope. It would have been my pick had I not gone Azul, but power is power, and you want it. They've got this black and red aesthetic, and I think the cosmetics are really dope. So there you go. Whichever one you want, ladies and gentlemen, pick your poison. Sponsor. Now, moving on. So, of course, we've got clubs or clans this season. We've got the Buck Wild team. If you're watching this, Buck Wilders, you know who you are. So we have a clan. It's just literally Team Buck Wild. If you want to join that, go ahead and put in an application, baby. Of course, we've got a Discord as well. Link to that should be in this description. And there's some cool things that come with being a part of a club. You get club bonuses, meaning that you earn extra XP and fans by competing as a team. We've got a club wall. So when you join a club, there's actually like a message board. So you can message other people in the club. You can go there to see what other people have messaged. It's like a pinned wall. Pretty dope. You've got team up requests where you can put in like, hey, I want to play cash out. Ping a request to anybody who's on and see if they want to jump on with you. And then we've got daily club contracts where you pick 2 contracts out of a list of contracts. So you're not just automatically assigned them. You pick 2 contracts per day, complete them, and boost your individual club rank. These contracts are a great way to show your loyalty and dedication to your club. Of course, then with the club, you can have up to 50 members. You can have a unique name and tag. And then you've got some roles. You've got the owner, the manager, and the scout. So that's clubs. Pretty cool. I'm glad they've added that. Just another, little sprinkle of awesomeness on what they've already done here with the finals. And then one of the things that everybody's been asking for is a jukebox. So Finals Greatest Hits this season will feature an all-new banging soundtrack from the maestros on the 3rd floor. It sets the stage for heart-pounding action in Bernal, but we have a whole year of hits under their belt. So the highly requested jukebox feature has been added. So this is essentially like a music track selector that you can have. It's on the front page. You can play around. You can curate your own list from different seasons of music that you like. You can mix it up, yada yada yada. So this was cool. People are really enjoying this. This is quality of life. They've upgraded some console experiences here, so you can now play on PlayStation 4, so that's great, adding some more players to the player base. And they did some things here for PlayStation 5 Pro. You can do 120 hertz mode on the PS5, the PS5 Pro, Xbox Series X. And so if you've got 120 hertz compatible screen, TV, or monitor, you can now immerse yourselves at an even higher octane level than you could before. And then we've got Time to Play Santa Claus. This is one of my personal favorite added features because we can now gift within the game. I've already done a Battle Pass giveaway. I'm going to be doing more giveaways this season, so please stay tuned for those. They're all live stream giveaways, the Gunbuck giveaways, baby. So let's talk a little bit about how that works. Gift limits. Players can send up to 5 gifts per day, giving you multiple chances to brighten someone's day. Then we have Premium Battle Pass gifting. Want to gift a Premium Battle Pass? There's just one rule. You need to own it yourself. Now, I don't think they list some of the things you can gift here. So you can gift cosmetic items, a piece of gear, or the Premium Battle Pass. I'm pretty sure you can gift multi-bucks as well, but I'm not entirely sure. And they didn't do a list of exactly what you could gift here. So, but nonetheless, gifting in game, yay. All right, so even more to explore. Let's talk about the actual balance changes. Whew, this one, where are we at here? This is a doozy. We're already like 15 minutes into this banger. All right, balance changes, baby. The general updated hit sweeps for quick melee attacks, making them much more reliable when you're trying to hit targets. So melee attack got a little bit of a buff. This is the big one, folks. The defibrillator got a nerf. They added what they're calling revive sickness to players revived by the defibrillator, causing their specializations and gadgets to be placed on a 5-second cooldown. So what this means is like when you get revived by a medium, you can't use your special or any of your gadgets or utilities for up to 5 seconds, right? Or actually for exactly 5 seconds. What this means is no more triple chaining revives when you've got a 3-stack on mediums. That's a pretty big deal. This really changes, I think, how important the defib has been in the meta. I think this definitely knocks it down quite a bit because you got to think, 9 times out of 10, when you die, you are likely in some type of fight, and you're only left with a couple bullets in your chamber at death, or maybe you're even stuck in a reload, right? Like how many times have we been revived and we had to reload, okay? So, and that's all you're going to be able to use for 5 seconds when you get revived is your gun. So chances are you're going to get revived by a defibrillator, be stuck in a reload, and have no other options to inflict any damage or respond to that moment in action. So those like hero reses where the masked medium is diving down from the top of the building and hitting that like in the heat of the battle defib, that's even less like, you probably shouldn't do that anymore, ladies. You shouldn't be doing that in the first place, really. It's pretty circumstantial, but this really changes how the defibrillator is going to be used and affected in the gameplay. And you know what? I'm all for it. Jump pad. Increased cooldown from 30 seconds to 40 seconds. So jump pad gets a little bit of a nerf there in a way. Proximity sensor. Added the ability for the medium contestants to equip the proximity sensor. So this is cool. Mediums get a proc sensor, and this is probably a response to the super buff that the light camo got, or light invis, but we'll talk about that later. Smoke grenades. Added the ability for medium contestants to equip smoke grenades. Added the ability for heavy contestants to equip smoke grenades. So I don't know how great and useful this is going to be, being is that they don't have the medium and the heavy don't have an ability that allows them to really see through smoke like the light has. So, but yeah, they've got smoke grenades now. Sonar grenade. They decreased the active duration from 7.25 to 5.25. And then they decreased the time between sonar pulses from 2.5 to 1.75. So this essentially is a buff to the sonar grenades. Upon throwing the sonar grenade, it's going to activate more quickly. And then between pulses, the pulses are actually going to activate more quickly as well. So you can kind of get better sight more quickly. I said more quickly a lot. So sonar grenade gets a buff. Zipline, increased cooldown from 30 seconds to 37 seconds. So this is a nerf for the zipline. Basically, after you deploy a zipline, you're not going to be able to deploy another one for 37 seconds. All right, there's that. Now for the game modes. First up, we've got Quick Cache. They updated the respawn system to essentially replicate how it is in PowerShift. So in PowerShift, we have a wave-based respawn system where there's basically a 30-second timer that's constantly running from the beginning of the game to the end of the game. And depending on where you die, depending on when you die, or like where the 30-second timer is when you die rather, is how much time you'll have to respawn. So that's why, it might be at 21 seconds when you die, you'll have 21 seconds to respawn. It might be at 7 seconds when you die, so you'll have 7 seconds to respawn. They also added the ability to swap your contestants just like you can in PowerShift. So you can change contestants, specializations, weapons, all of the above in Quick Cache. So they're making it a little more casual and a little more fun to play. I think that's like the intent. And you know what? That's cool. I'm for it. I think that's fine. Now for the maps. Kyoto. They adjusted the map border to improve the flow in the hillside area. They also redesigned the bamboo forest. What they essentially did was remove a whole bunch of the bamboo, which is the right play there. And, I think that Kyoto, probably the worst map in the game, definitely needs a lot of work in terms of the flow, the lanes, etc. This is a step in the right direction. not only removing some of the bamboo, but really the optimization for that map. Because I know, heck, there's a time in Season 4, Kyoto was just straight killing Xboxes, and it definitely makes my system run a little harder. So Kyoto gets a little bit of a rework, and I'm all about it. Specializations. This is huge. Cloaking device. Out of control buff. Updated the cloaking device to consume energy based on the player's current movement speed while cloaked, meaning that standing still drains energy much more slowly than running or sprinting. All right, so what this means is if you're standing still, you essentially are burning little to no energy for the cloaking device. And then when you move, it's about what you would normally burn when you're using the cloaking device. And I think I've seen some people test this, and if you pop a brand new cloaking device, you can, I think, stand still for like 2.5 minutes and still be cloaked. That's wild. Take a minute to let that soak in. So you can essentially you could go sit by a cash box before it's plugged, stay cloaked, holding your little taser out, and then when someone goes to deposit the cash, you stun them, cloaked, because you could just sit there forever, then you deposit the cash. And or you can sit there in a corner and just not move, guarding your cash box with your sitting there with your little stun gun. And what this really promotes to me is like just the rattiest corner sitting camping gameplay, and it is very, 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 very strong right now. Cloak is really, really OP. They also remove the ability for burning damage to break the cloaking effect, and they remove the ability for poison damage to break cloaking. So cloaking got a pretty dang big buff here, and now I really think they're probably going to walk this back. And as Apo says, use it while you can. Use it while you can abuse it, folks. Cloaking device is pretty hot right now. Then we've got the mesh shield rework. Amen. Thank you, Jesus. I'm so glad they brought this back. We can now juggle the mesh again. They made the huge mistake of putting a time penalty on kind of opening the mesh and closing the mesh. They removed that. They essentially did what I said in another video. I'm not saying like I gave them the idea, but maybe I gave them the idea, is that you can now juggle the mesh, and what it does is it's an energy use. So, you know, when you pop the mesh, a full fresh mesh shield, you have 750 energy, or HP if you will, in total. Now if you start to juggle it, it's going to take 225 energy every time you pop it, but that still allows you to kind of do that and use that as a strategy when closing the gap, or this, that, the other. It's just, I'm so glad that they did that. That was a much needed change. And yeah, I think the mesh shield's in a good place. It's back, baby. It's back for Season 5. Now, the weapons. 93R is finally getting its day, folks. They increased the damage from 24 to 26 per bullet. They decreased horizontal recoil after the third burst, making the gun easier to control. They decreased vertical recoil slightly, making the gun easier to control. They increased the damage fall-off start range from 23 meters to 28 meters, meaning it hits harder at range. Increased the damage fall-off multiplier at max range from 45% to 55%, meaning the weapon will do more damage at longer ranges. And so, like, they've been, what they say here in the dev notes, like, they've been cautious about buffing this thing, but they were basically like, fuck it, let's go, like, let them have it. And this, I love it, the 93R, it's got a new scope, the thing slaps, it feels good, it's definitely up there. It's I think surpassed the M11 in my opinion. LH1 may be the best weapon right now for the lights, especially with that red dot sight. 93R is right up there, and the M11, of course, is like right there with them in terms of contention for the best weapon on the light. Now we've got the KS23. They reduced reload duration of full tactical reload from 4.6 seconds to 3.85 seconds, roughly 16%. They reduced the reload duration of full empty reload from 513 to 436. So essentially the KS23 gets a reload buff, all that stuff's going to happen a little quicker. The dual blades gets a massive rework this season. That's another thing. They're just like, let's just buff the heck out of dual blades, give these guys their time to shine. The basic attack increased the speed and duration of the lunge for each attack animation, making it easier to reach targets that are just out of range. Deflect decreased the dispersion angle of deflected bullets from 2.5 to 1, meaning deflected bullets are now more accurate. Decreased the damage modifier for direct hits from enemy bullets from 0.2 to 0.1, meaning players will now take less damage when deflecting hits at the center of the blade's deflection angle. They decrease the damage modifier for glancing hits from enemy bullets from 0.4 to 0.3, meaning players will now take less damage when deflecting hits at the edge of the blade's deflection angle. They increase the deflection angle from 25 degrees to 35 degrees, making it easier to block and deflect bullets. Then they decreased incoming melee damage modifier from 0.33 to 0.25, meaning players will take less damage from melee attacks when trying to deflect. So this is just crazy. This is a really huge buff. Now, I'm not a big time dual blades user, so I'm not really going to be able to tell you like, hey, this just is like so much better. But on paper, I don't know how this is not better. Now, is this really that viable? I don't know. Maybe if you have a good team synergy, the right team comp, and you play together in such a way that I think this could be menacing. I do know that even before this buff, when I saw a dual blades user and it was like solo 1v1, I thought it was pretty difficult to handle them. I'm not even gonna lie. But huge buff, dual blades, Leonardo, Ninja Turtles, let's go. The R357 revolver got a buff. Decreased bullet dispersion when firing from the hip by approximately 20%, making the weapon more accurate. Thank you. I'm so glad they finally did this. I've been saying for the longest time that this thing is just too chaotic. It's just the spread is just too wild, too inaccurate for this thing to be like really, really good. So this is a step in the right direction. I haven't played with it very much, so I'm not going to be able to tell you how awesome it is, but hey, they're trying. The spear, basic attack. Increased the lunge distance from 6 meters to 7.5 meters on basic attacks, making it easier to hit enemies. Increased the lunge speed by approximately 15%. Increased the lunge cancel on basic attacks, causing the player to come to rest earlier once they hit the target. And then of course we've got secondary attack. They increase the damage of each swing from 100 to 105. Now this is a big buff to the spear. They're trying to, I think, make this thing a contender with the hammer. And yeah, this is also a step in the right direction for the spear, because to me, if it was melee on the heavy, the hammer was like the no-brainer selection. Then we've got the XP54. Womp, womp, womp. They increased ammo count from 30 to 34. Whoopee, like, I don't know. Still, like, you need to increase the damage again. Like, to do the damage nerf they did to the XP54 when it's a submachine gun per bullet, like that, they just nerfed this thing pretty much into the ground. I thought this weapon was in a very good place before they touched it. I didn't think it needed to be messed with. Just buff other weapons to make them a contender. Don't nerf them. Like, okay, so we got 4 more bullets. Whoopee. Weapon optics. Decrease the amount of animated visual recoil significantly on all red dot optics across all weapons that can equip them, making those weapons easier to aim. So basically what they're saying is put a red dot on it. If you want it, put a red dot on it, because it's going to be easier to shoot. Now they've got a whole bunch of like content, animation, bug fixes. I read through these. There wasn't anything that was like I thought to be super worthy of talking about. Maybe this one. Gateways will now destroy surrounding goo when activated. So there's that. Yeah, they fixed the issue where you could use your jump pad and pick it up at the same time. It's kind of an exploit. But other than that, there wasn't a whole lot here to discuss that was really, really relevant in terms of like the bug fixes and things like that. Some of the cool things that I like to see is more performance stuff. I like to see optimization upgrades, like, because they really need to continue to work on that. So that's pretty much what we've got for the patch notes. I'll put a link to these in the video if you did want to go through line by line of some of these bug fixes. That's on you, player. Now, let's go to the game and do some testing. Go. Oh, you gotta throw it. See how this works. All right, let's see how this one works. Oh, okay. Almost. I guess you don't have to do anything. Oh, it didn't take you off the bat. And there you have it, folks. Some pretty fun and interesting things you can do with the Lockbolt. So I appreciate everybody who tuned into the video. It's been quite a long one. Thanks for staying around this long. If you did, you're a certified G. Stay tuned for more finals content, and we will see you in the next one.